How can I get lots of innovators, inventors in particular, around the world to come together and solve problems for our company? Companies would say, my innovation is very challenging now because suddenly I'm a food company and have to understand high technology. I'm a chemical company and I have to understand AI. Suddenly they have all these new challenges and they said, well, why don't we use a network like you have to get connected to the people who can solve those problems for us? So that's how Xinova was born. We took that network, realized that it met a need for corporate customers, all of whom needed help by finding global talent. So we decided to spin out Xinova and make that the business of the company. We built the first market network for innovation. Xinova manages this process of how do you hook up somebody who is a talent in invention to somebody who's a talent in prototyping, to somebody who can actually talk to your business development people about what kind of product you want, somebody who can visit your factory and understand what problems it has. So we focus on 4 different kinds of networks that we're bringing together. One is talent. We have some of the best inventors on earth in our system. They invent all kinds of things, ranging from materials technology to how to manage animals. We bring demand. So customers ranging from multinationals to startups to even cities all have these problems they need solved. They are the demand side. We bring technology in. We have lots of patents, we have a lot of know-how, we know where the technologies are, and also quite importantly, capital. So we're building capital networks now to bring thousands of investors in who have money to deploy and are interested in deploying them for innovation, but have no instrument to do it with. So what they prefer to is invest in some kind of cash flow. And the good news of what's happening today is technology is related to cash flows. It's going to improve agriculture, it's going to improve how you construct buildings, it's going to improve how insurance works and financial services. All these things are cash flow businesses that we are now giving our capital network ways of investing in. To solve a problem for a customer, there is a technology somewhere, and maybe it's sitting in another customer's parts bin, and they're just not using it, and they don't know how to get it out. And they can call their investment banker friend, but he doesn't understand technology very well. Or they can, call their consulting friend, but she doesn't really understand the business that well or can't actually execute a transaction, doesn't know how to do a licensing deal, doesn't know how to do a startup. They can talk to their startup friend, but it's not ready for a startup, right? So these are the things that we're going to bridge. So the reason I'm excited now is I get to build a company that is completely focused on innovation. Usually we get people who are all sort of coming from the same place. They're all technologists who believe in something, or they all come from a common background. No, we have people from multinational companies, from foreign companies, from startups, from capital providers, from investment banks. We've glued them all together into this organization, which that's incredibly ambitious. So not a lot of people do that. So R&D is going through a fundamental shift, and companies are trying to grapple with this right now. And the fundamental shift they're going through is there are so many technologies you have to cover now to be successful that it's very hard to have a traditional company. When we talk to R&D managers, they all nod their heads and totally understand this. They wish they could just have a network that they trusted, and it's not just like a completely open network. It's not going to be crowdsourcing. It's just finding a very curated, high-quality group of people who are experts in their field, but willing to learn about yours, who will share the risk with you and share the reward. It is a vision of the future that says that you should enlist in a network like this because the network has the incentives to try to make you good at something. It gives you exposure to not just a single problem that your company's interested in, but the problems of the entire world that could be relevant to you, and gives you a view on what things are trending in terms of things that might be useful to learn. This is going to give you a sense of what kind of trends are there of innovation problems that companies really want to solve. And that might give you a very good perspective on what you should learn. It's going to find people who are looking for new talent and hopefully have an incentive to educate you about it. So I think this whole system is a new way of doing work. So suddenly, for the first time, we're really seeing places where technology can be deployed to affect huge amounts of cash flow, whether it's in lending, for consumer lending, for insurance, for construction, for infrastructure. all of a sudden, all these old businesses that haven't changed very much for the last 100, 200, sometimes 1,000 years are getting impacted by technology and changing a lot. And the investors that can make money from that are these kind of cash flow investors that have been largely ignored by the technology industry. They're not like, say, a venture capitalist who can only invest in a startup. These guys are flexible. They have a lot of capital in aggregate, and they're very interested in looking at these kind of cash flows. So by attaching these four things together, talent, technology, demand, and capital, we can actually build working systems where innovation gets deployed efficiently.